Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Matthew Sports Talk. I'm your host Matthew, and let's get right to it. The Minnesota Vikings, thank God, finally, well, I shouldn't say, they've won in Chicago at Soldier Field before, but it's a very rare event, and on Monday night nonetheless. Kirk Cousins gained his first Monday night victory. My man Adam Thielen got 2 touchdowns, one of which was a beautiful one-handed touchdown grab. And the Vikings did enough to hold off Chicago, who, despite having one of the worst offenses in the league, was still in it at the end. So I can tell you this right now. If the Vikings had lost, I'd be griping a whole lot, telling you exactly what went wrong in this game. But I'm not going to do that, but I will highlight a few points. Dalvin Cook was essentially ineffective. I mean, he did run for 96 yards, but it was on 30 carries. So that's about just over 3 yards a carry. Not that good. And they weren't very creative when it came to running the ball with Dalvin. There was a lot of, runs right up the middle, which was right in Chicago's wheelhouse. It was easy for them to stop. Not a lot of out routes or, screens or creativeness there. But thank God, you got Adam Thielen. And my new man, Justin Jefferson, who, I wish he just had one more catch, and I will discuss that later on in fantasy. But if he just had one more catch, I would have swept, and I would have won both of my fantasy games this week. But like I said, we'll get into that later. So, and Kirk Cousins, the one thing is that if the run game with Cook is not going to be as effective, which is what happened tonight. It's going to force Kirk Cousins to do some stuff. And I was a little bit worried with some of the passes that he was trying to complete. But for the most part, he did what he was supposed to do. They played the short pass game very, very well. They focused on getting yards after the catch, which I appreciated. And, he did have one interception that he threw, but it wasn't really his fault. It was just a bad bounce into Khalil Mack's hands. So yeah, and so the Vikings staying at 4-5, just a half a game behind Chicago. 3 straight wins, and not only that, 3 straight divisional wins. And they're right back in it. So, and the next 3 games all at home against the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Jaguars, all who have losing records. So, all winnable games, and if they win all 3 of those, hey, they're staying at 7-5, which this year with 7 playoff teams, that's looking pretty right there. So, just pray to God that they keep it up, and I think next week, this Sunday, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and after the loss to Atlanta, I'm not discounting any team. And especially the Cowboys after the way they played the Steelers. But, I think our offense will have a big day. I think Dalvin Cook will be running like crazy. I think Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen will get some good catches because Dallas's defense is pretty bad. So, that's how things are looking right now for the Vikings. So let's go through the rest of Week 10 action. Let me check something real quick. I don't think I did another episode after Yeah, no, it's been almost a week since my last episode. So, yeah, didn't get to talk about some other things that happened, but yeah, no, starting with the Thursday night game, the surprise Colts beat the Titans 34-17. Titans on a, the AFC South is really up for grabs between those two teams. I mean, it'll be an interesting match, interesting division to watch coming down the stretch. So, other games, Browns beat the Texans 10-7. My God, the Texans. Ugh. Patrick Mahomes was on bye this week, so I had to start Deshaun Watson in both of my fantasy teams. Luckily enough, like I said, one of my fantasy teams won, so that wasn't a big deal. But my other team, I will discuss this, lost by less than a point. If Deshaun Watson just had done more, which was possible, there was the Browns' defense is nothing to. It's not eye-catching, okay? So the fact that he couldn't do more pisses me off big time. So anyway, done with that. Lions beat Washington 30-27 on a last-second 59-yard field goal. A big whoop. Yeah, the Lions might be 4-5, but that doesn't mean that they're as good as that record shows. They're really not. The Packers beat the Jaguars 24-20. The Jaguars went into Green Bay and almost won. With not Gardner Minshew, with some guy named, I think, Luton. So, to say that the Packers underperformed this week against Jacksonville is an understatement. Still, and luckily enough for them, everybody ahead of them in my power rankings lost, so they actually got to move up a little bit, even though they really didn't deserve it. The Giants beat the Eagles 27-17. Oh, the NFC East is garbage. So garbage. I mean, you could take a college football team, probably, like high up, Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama. You could take one of those teams, put them against any team in the NFC East, and they probably would win. Or they would really, really do well and make it a contested game, and the NFC East team, luckily enough, wins. But still, it's like, how bad do you have to be to win the NFC East? Well, it's apparent that this year, you're gonna have this year. You're not gonna have a winning team with a winning record from the NFC East. It ain't happening. So, God, that was just, I don't know what to say. Buccaneers beat the Panthers 46-23. I thought the Panthers would have played a little better, and they started to, but then Buccaneers defense got some licks on Teddy Bridgewater, so that's what happened there. Raiders beat the Broncos 37-12, not surprising. Dolphins beat the Chargers 29-21. The Chargers, you just can't win one-score games. It just comes down to that. Before I get to that game, Rams beating the Seahawks 23-16. To anyone who thought Russell Wilson was an MVP candidate, you were wrong! He has declined. And not only that, his defense isn't helping him. So, I think he has I know he had, 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions yesterday. He's just, no. Not only is he not in the MVP conversation, He's not even like a top 10 quarterback right now. That's how bad he is playing. And if things don't turn around, not just for him, but for their defense, it's going to be hard to win the NFC West. Because you got two other teams doing so well. Saints beat the 49ers 27-13. Not surprising, but the one thing of note, Drew Brees got knocked out of the game, later revealed to be several fractured ribs and collapsed lung. Ouch. That's ouch. So the Saints are 7-2 right now and sitting pretty on top of the NFC South. But the timeline for Drew Brees' injury is very uncertain. They say best case scenario is 2 to 3 weeks, but I don't think, not with that. I think it's going to be a little longer, especially with a collapsed lung. You definitely want to give that time to heal. And I just want to look at the Saints' upcoming schedule. I mean, they do have 3 very winnable games. Well, technically 4 very winnable games coming up. Got 2 against the Falcons, and a game against the Broncos, and a game against the Eagles. And then they have to play the Chiefs, my Vikings, and the Panthers. So, I mean, it's just a big unknown. And quite frankly, Jameis Winston, I'm sorry, you're going to rely. I mean, he ain't Teddy Bridgewater, that's for sure. I don't think you're going to have the same success when Drew Brees was out last season and Teddy Bridgewater came in. Then you're going to have it with Jameis Winston. So, yeah, I don't think. But, you know, we'll see. Steelers beat the Bengals 36-10. No surprise there. The Patriots beat the Ravens 23-17. Now, I swear to God, every single talk show on ESPN today was talking about the Patriots. And are they back on track? Max Kellerman seems to be like, I don't know. He seems to be a great lover of Bill Belichick. Thinks he's such a genius. Shut up. Shut up with all that shit, okay? Tom Brady is gone. The Patriots are irrelevant. Now, on the other side of that, with 7 teams once again in the playoffs, the Patriots could slip in there. But it's a very, very, very long shot, okay? You still got, I mean, well, let me just say, list the teams that are ahead of them right now. Chiefs, well, technically, number 1 would be Steelers. Then you got the Chiefs. Then you got the Bills, Ravens, Raiders, Dolphins, Colts, Titans, and Browns. That's 9 teams ahead of them. So, I don't want to hear shit about the New England Patriots for the remainder of the goddamn season, okay? Unless they start playing miracles out of their butts, I don't want to hear it. Because, I'm looking up their schedule right now. Okay, they're at the Texans next week, which is a winnable game. Then at home against the Cardinals, which is going to be a lose. At the Chargers, which probably a win, 2-1. At the Rams, lose, 2-2. At Dolphins, lose, 2-3. At home against the Bills, lose, 2-4. At home against the Jets, win, 3-4. So, I think they'll end 3-4 to end the season, and they will be 7-9 and out of the playoffs. I don't want to hear about the Patriots anymore. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Tom Brady's gone. The dynasty is done. End of conversation. Oh yeah, and then, okay, sorry. The Patriots are one of those teams where everyone wants to talk about them because of how brilliant Bill Belichick is. But it's clearly obvious that Tom Brady was the reason that team was winning and winning big, okay? So I'm done with it. And then the big game of the weekend, the Cardinals beating the Bills 32-30 on what I would call a miracle of heaven. You talk about the Minneapolis Miracle that Diggs had a couple of years ago. Pretty popular play here in Minnesota, obviously. That was a combination of several different things that happened on that play. Same could be said for what happened yesterday when Kyler Murray threw up a ball. And, my God, first of all, the throw is beautiful. So give Kyler Murray the credit on that. But DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop, got air and caught and secured the ball with three defensive Bills players around him. That man is a monster. And exactly the reason why Bill O'Brien, who traded him to the Arizona Cardinals, is no longer a head coach in the NFL. Probably the dumbest trade in NFL history for exactly that reason. And just like that, there's a 3-way tie on top of the NFC West with Cardinals leading the way. So, that's the Week 10 wrap-up. Now, let's go to my NFL power rankings, alright? So, there was a lot of movement this week, obviously with a lot of good teams losing and, other things. So, at number 32, they were on their bye week. The New York Jets, self-explanatory, no need. Number 31, Jaguars. I feel bad for them. They could have won, and they could have taken a jump. But, alas, that's what happens. Washington, down a spot at number 30. Alex Smith comes back from a horrific injury, making his first start since then. Throws for almost 400 yards. And you couldn't win? God. I swear to God. If there's a defense that's worse than Seattle in this league, it's probably Washington. Just so you know. Cowboys, because of Washington's loss, moved up a spot to number 29, even though they were on their bye. Staying at number 28 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Once again, self-explanatory. Down one spot on their bye, the Falcons. I had to move them down. There were teams that were below them that won, so I needed to do something with them. Down one spot to number 26, the Cincinnati Bengals. Up 2 to number 25, the New York Giants. Down 2 to number 24, the Houston Texans. Down 2 to number 23, the Denver Broncos. Up 2 to number 22, Detroit Lions. Down 1 to number 21, Carolina Panthers. Down 3 to number 20 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Down 1 to number 19, the San Francisco 49ers. Down 2 to number 18, Chicago Bears. Up 6 to number 17, the New England Patriots. Up 3 to number 16, my Minnesota Vikings. Staying at number 15, the Cleveland Browns. Down 4 spots to number 14, the Tennessee Titans. Up 1 at number 13 is the Colts. Up 1 at number 12 is the Dolphins. Up 1 at number 11 is the Raiders. Down 7, the biggest drop this week. Down 7 at number 10, the Baltimore Ravens. Down 4 to number 9, Seattle Seahawks. Down 4 to number 8, Buffalo Bills. Up 4 at number 7, Arizona Cardinals. Up 3 at number 6, the Los Angeles Rams. So let me just discuss that really quick. I feel like going forward, the team that has the best chance to win the NFC West is the Los Angeles Rams because they're the more well-balanced team. Arizona and Seattle, great offenses. Seattle's defense, sucks. Arizona's defense doesn't suck as much as Seattle's, but also hasn't been as good as it should be. And the Rams, if their defense can play really, really well, their offense can just do their jobs. So that's why I like the Rams going forward in the NFC West. Up at number 5, moving up a spot, the Green Bay Packers, which undeserved. But then again, I have to do it because teams ahead of them lost. So up to number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Up 4 spots to number 4 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Up 4 spots to number 3, the New Orleans Saints. So yeah, right now I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC. But with Drew Brees out, let's see what happens. Staying at number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they're 9-0. I feel like there's nothing that they did against the Bengals to move them back up to number 1. Because, it's the Bengals. So, they did what they were supposed to do. Nothing extra. And then staying at number 1 on their bye is the Kansas City Chiefs. So, there you go. There's my NFL power rankings heading in to Week 11. As you can see right there, Vikings right in the middle. Oh, I was hoping they'd be better, but it's what it is. What else to talk about? I am going to talk a little fancy, but let me just say one thing about college sports right now. Gophers football lost very, very badly to the Iowa Hawkeyes. I feel like this season, not just in college football, but in college sports in general, nothing should be counted. Nothing. It's ridiculous that these guys are even playing. There's been numerous cancellations and postponements because of COVID cases on the rise. And the biggest problem is most COVID cases are, like they say, 21 to 35-year-olds. 18 to 35-year-olds. So, college students are right in the middle of that. So why on God's green earth? And there are certain things like, Trevor Lawrence got COVID-19 and he was out for a few games and Clemson lost to Notre Dame. Now, Trevor Lawrence, his resume was already made before the season. We already know he's going to be, if not the number 1 overall pick in the next NFL draft, probably one of the top 5. And, that's stretching it. He probably, if he doesn't go number 1, he's going to go number 2. That's all I'm saying. The only real reason that I think he's playing this season is because he wants that damn title. He wants that damn national title before he goes out. And I'm saying, it's just not worth it, dude. It's just not worth it. Honestly. If you have the resume, just go into the draft. And if he had gone into the draft last season, he would have been able to avoid some of these, because his main concern is right now he doesn't want to play with the Jets. But the Jets are going to have the number 1 overall pick, okay? So I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't. And now they're talking about college basketball playing an NCAA tournament all in one city. How are you going to pull that off? I'm just... College sports is just, it's a clusterfuck right now. And, I just don't understand it. So, anyway, moving on from that. I guess the last thing to talk about is fantasy talk. So like I said, I split the games this week. My primary team, my Minneapolis Skull Squad, lost 120.1 to 119.22 by less than a point. And like I said, if Jefferson just had gotten one more catch, because it's a PPR league, he just gotten one more catch, it doesn't matter if it was for positive yards or not, he would have gotten me the win. It should catch, and yeah, it should have been, it would have been needed positive yards, because, you lose points if it's negative yards. But still, it's like, and, yeah, he's the highlight on that team. 21.5 points this week. Chase Claypool, 21.3, did pretty good too. And then Daniel Carlson, my kicker, 15.0 points. But yeah, the Debbie Downer, Deshaun Watson, 14.12 points. That ain't going to cut it, dude. And, and I left so many points on my bench. Malcolm Brown had 19.1 fantasy points, and then Rex Burkhead had 22.6. How the heck was I supposed to know that Rex Burkhead, running back against the Baltimore Ravens, one of the better running defenses in the league, was going to get that? That's just my history of fantasy. So, yeah. And then my other team, my team that I don't really expect much from because they have a losing record, won big time. They won 131 to 96. And highlights on that team: Naheem Hines, 28.5 fantasy points. Adam Thielen, 20.3. Chase Claypool, 21.3. Daniel Carlson, 15.0. And I left a lot of points on the bench on that team as well. Players on my bench: Cole Beasley, 27.9 points. Brandon Ayuk, 19.7. Keelan Cole Sr., 21.7. I didn't need any of that. Because the other guy, outside of Ben Roethlisberger, who had 29.32, and DeAndre Hopkins, who had 25.7, the other guy had nothing. Nothing. So, like I said, if Justin Jefferson just had one more catch for positive yards, I would have won both teams this week. But, yeah, that's why it's called fantasy. So with all of that, I would say that concludes my Matthew Sports Talk for this episode. Definitely stay tuned later this week, because there probably will be another episode, because we do have a really, really good Thursday night football game, and it's from that famous NFC West, Cardinals and Seahawks. Let's see what happens. So until then, this is your host Matthew Hellman, signing off.